Wow. Good evening. And we're live. I got caught short there, didn't I? Let's just check the sound first of all. Just check the sound and the adverts are playing. So we'll just wait till everyone gets on the live. Good evening, James. How are you this evening? Just the three players. I know that sound is fine. So yeah, more than three players. It's hard to pick three. But let's drop your name in the comments and tell me what players you think need dropped. Because where do we start? I'm going to start with three players. I am going to start with three players, and the three players in question. Let's face it. Yesterday, before we do anything, wait a minute. Wait a minute. Before we do anything, there's the green edition. Where's the camera? Oh, it's there. Forgot I'm using the different camera. The green edition. This will really get to the zombies. And pulling it back a bit. The green edition. Red Bull, the green edition. Anyway, we're going to try that this evening. We're not sponsored. We're not sponsored by Red Bull, but when you've got the green edition, that's all that matters. The green edition. Good. Right. Back to the video. Um, I'll come to the comments because people were feeling a bit upset about yesterday. And let's talk about these three players. First of all, that I think should be nowhere near Celtic. Brendan Rodgers has been talking up this guy for weeks, um, saying he knows saying that he's the best player to come out of the academy. To me, Mikey Johnson needs a drop. Mikey Johnson is not the answer. Mikey Johnson should be nowhere near that Celtic team after yesterday. Um, yeah, we never sell our club either. When he comes back, it all will be fine. But until then, Mikey Johnson is not the answer for Celtic. That's definite, right? Mikey Johnson's my first one that I think should be out there. Next up should be Nat Phillips. 2 games in a row. 2 games in a row. Nat Phillips has cost us. Now, he slipped against Hibs and the ball goes in past him and into the net. He then scores an own goal. I mean, own goals are unlucky. But Nat Phillips, I don't know what Brendan Rodgers was thinking, especially when the player we're not throwing away the league, Lanky. Who was it that said that? Smelly glove. We're not throwing away the league. Definitely not. I'm sort of just in. But Nat Phillips is one player that should never be near Celtic again. Don't care. We've got £7 million worth of defenders sitting, not even on the bench. £7 million worth of defenders sitting on the bench, and Nat Phillips walks into that team. Terrible, absolutely terrible. Next up is for me. People have been crying out for this position to be filled for a couple of seasons now. We brought in one player from South America that was meant to fill that position, Alexandro Bernabe, and he doesn't seem to be good enough. Greg Taylor, when you're on the boating lake, and Greg Taylor's one of these guys that when the guy that does the boating lake, you remember the boating lakes, and you used to hire the boats, we rowing boats, you used to go out in the boats. I don't think they do them anymore because probably health and safety stuff back home. But Greg Taylor's one of the wee guys that would get the boat and he would go away around the island. He would go away around. So the guy's going, number fucking 4, your time's up. Get in. Greg Taylor's that one, that player that is should never. He's just not doing it. He's not hitting form. And understand, Greg Taylor hit a bit of form the first year that Ange Postecoglou was here. To the second half of the second season, he was in quite good form, but he's never hit form this season. He's another player that needs dropped. He seems to be undroppable, and I don't see how. I can't see how Bernabe can be that bad that he's not getting uh, place in the team. But let's go through the whole squad. Let's go through the whole squad. And what do you think? Tell me in the comments. I'm going to get this one really interactive tonight. Tell me in the comments whether it should be benched sold, benched or sold as players. Well, we can't sell the first one, but Joe Hart. Tell me what you think about Joe Hart in the comments. Greg Taylor thinks he's messy. Tell me what I think about Joe Hart. We'll start right at the back, and we're going to go through the whole squad because we're half through. We we spoke about this, and I did say we would speak about it when we got to the halfway mark of the season. We're kind of at the halfway mark just now. We're kind of at the halfway mark just now. I said that we'd sit and discuss players that should have left at the summer. Um, and we're not far away from the halfway mark of the season. So yeah, let's talk about it now. Joe Hart, does he need benched? Does he need benched, or should we just leave him be? Benched. You never sell our club for a pound. Hart needs benched straight up. Sold, get rid as soon as possible. Next one. We're going to the next one, so we're not getting a lot. And Scott Bain. Scott Bain. Now we know that Scott Bain was given a new contract. Woo! He was given a new contract because he's a Scotland player, and because he's Scottish, and we need him for that. Bench who for Bain? Should he be? I mean, should Bain be benched? Should he be even not be benched? And then Benji Siegrist come in. We'll get to Benji Siegrist just now. Should we sell Benji Siegrist? Because let's face it, he's came in almost 2 years ago, and he would walk right into anyone else, any other team in the SPFL. He would walk right into their team. Maybe not Sefco's because they've got a half decent keeper for a change. Huntscalper says, what we're going to do, Heart a favour. Seagrass definitely a chance. Bain can't even say that live on air. But I get what you're saying, Huntscalper. I think it is time that Benji Siegrist is given his chance. And why isn't he being given his chance? Brendan Rodgers sticking by that one and only Joe Hart is strange. Now, next up in the back line is a player that I think will get better. He has got better. He has played at the World Cup. He's a player that I think will go to the top level, but he needs good players around him. And that is the one and only Alistair Johnson. Should we keep him, bench him, or sell him? Keep, bench, or sell. Alistair Johnson, for me, we keep him all day long. He's a first-team player that, and for the zombies trying to say that it was a penalty when he put his arm down on the ground to stop himself. He was rolling about the ground and he had his back to the ball, and the Sevconians are saying that it should have been a penalty. They don't know the laws of the game. He was putting his hand out to stop himself. So for me, as I keep him all day long. Alistair Johnson. Greg Taylor? Bench Greg Taylor. We need him for the quota for Europe, but I would definitely bench Greg Taylor. Next up out of the defenders is the one and only Gustav. Laga Gustav. Now, Gustav Lagerbielke won Swedish Defender of the Season. Swedish Defender of the Season. And he's played 7 games for Celtic. He had 4 clean sheets. Out of the 7 games that he played, he had 4 clean sheets. That Gustav. So there has to be a player in there. You know, you don't become Swedish Player of the Year, Defender of the Year, for absolutely no reason. Anyway, get back to the Green Edition. Focus on that. The Green Edition. Red Bull Green Edition. If you're out there, Red Bull, and you want to sponsor me, fire in. We get thousands of views. That's just to wind the zombies up tonight. Anyway, I'd keep Lagerbielke, I would definitely keep him. Paul Bert, he's saying keep him. Also, definitely keep Gustav. He needs his chance. Like we say, next up is a player that we all thought was going to leave Celtic in the summer. Let's face it, he was that far down the pecking order. Even he thought he was going to go back to Aberdeen. Should we keep, sell, or bench Liam Scales? It's a hard one. It is a hard one. He was in form at the beginning of the season. But tell me what you think about Liam Scales in the comments. Come on, get the comments coming in this night. I want lots of comments coming in. Bench, keep, or sell Liam Scales. Keep Huntscalper. Keep. Yeah, I'm a bit undecided with him. I think if we could sell him, remember there was a club sniffing about him. Was it not a Belgian club or something? It was just a couple of weeks ago. There was a club sniffing about him, and I think if we can get, if a club comes in and offers us money for Scales, should we sell him? Should we sell him? Considering, well, why could Scales not play at left back? There's a thing, 1967, Doc. That's understandable. He could play that. He could play at the back. He could play in a back three. He could play in a back three. Keep Scales for the left back. In a back three, I would say. I wouldn't put him in left back because he's not got the pace to get up and down the pitch and playing in a left back position of his own. But as a back three, I would keep Scales. If we can get 8 million from Anderlecht and sell him, yeah, I think if we get a good offer in for him, I would personally sell him. Right. The next one in our defence. This one's going to be a cracker. Right, I do a drum roll. Nat Phillips. Sell. Well, we can't even sell him. He's not ours. Send him back. Even the dogs went mental. I said Nat Phillips and the dogs went nuts. It's me. It's not the. That's it. The dogs go nuts. The dog wants rid of Nat Phillips. That's it. The dog wins. Nat Phillips is gone. Uh, yeah, no. So, must go. Send him back. Send him back to his dad. Send him back. Send him back. Yeah, he is poor. He is. He's really poor. Right. Nat Phillips, get him out, says Paul Baird. Yeah, definitely. Right. Next up is a player that we've not really seen enough of. In fact, we've hardly seen him at all. He did make the bench at the weekend. He is one of our defenders that we paid good money for in the summer. Big Rocky. Mike, no Rocky, no Rocky. Should we sell? He needs his chance. We can't sell him, and it's far too early. But Big Rocky needs his chance. Big Rocky needs his chance. Um, Big Rocky needs his chance for me. I'm just trying to read some of these comments. Keep Rocky. Yeah, we need to keep him. He needs to give his chance. Should he? He shouldn't even be on the bench. I think when a player of that money comes into the club and he's not getting played in front of a loanee, which is in the name of Phillips, it's unbelievable. So I definitely think that we need to get him some game time. Right, Kobayashi. Yuki Kobayashi, defender. Brought in by the one and only Ange Postecoglou. The Ange Postecoglou that was the saviour of Celtic. I mean, I'll tell you one thing, he's left us with some utter garbage in this team. And maybe I think that's one of the reasons that he decided to jump ship. Apart from the fact that he was getting good money down at Tottenham. But Kobayashi for me, he's another one that's out in the Bolton Lake, and sell him as quick as we can. So, if we can't get him sold, punt him back off to Japan and let somebody buy him. We'll move on quickly to another centre defender. Another centre defender where he played with defender last season, they never lost a game. Cameron Carter-Vickers is solid, but he needs someone to help him. Cameron Carter-Vickers is a player that can he get better, and we definitely need to keep him because he's a rock. He does need someone beside him. Is it Rocky? I think Cameron Carter-Vickers. You're going to keep Cameron Carter-Vickers all day long, but he does need someone beside him. Now we're getting to the last 3 players that we have in our defence. that's some amount of team we've got. Anyway, this guy was brought in for good money also, and he was brought in to we're getting to him, JT boy. We're getting to him. We haven't finished. We're still at defenders. Calm down. We're still at defenders. The next one was brought in for a direct replacement for Greg Taylor. Alexandro Bernabe. Alexandro Bernabe came in from South America with a big price tag. For me, if we're not going to play him, sell him. There's no use keeping a player of his talent on the bench. I would sell Bernabe, get something for him, get something back for him. We're down to the last 2 defenders. And as the Rangers say, their cry was no defenders. But then you talk about Tony Ralston, the brigade. Tony Ralston, would you keep, bench, or sell Tony Ralston. Keep bench or sell Tony Ralston. For me, he's a player that came through the team. He came through the same time as Kieran Tierney. This is why you have to take this into perspective. He came through the team the exact same time as Kieran Tierney. Kieran Tierney came into the first team and went to Arsenal and has been injured ever since. It's a joke. I'd say that Kieran Tierney has been talking about his injuries since he left. Should you keep Tony Ralston? He's a good backup defender. Um, and yeah, just about what I was wanting to say. Just about keep him for the quota of the Scottish players. Who scouted Burnaby? They must have used YouTube clips. Yeah, so we're going to keep Tony Ralston. Next up is the player that he has just had a new extended contract at Celtic. He's still young enough, but Stephen Welsh. Stephen Welsh is back in the fold. He's back training. A lot of people thought that he was probably a player that might have been sold. Would you keep? We need to keep him. Yeah, I would loan Welsh out. I would do something similar to what we did with Liam Scales. I would loan Welsh out and get him some game time and get his fitness up and make sure that he's playing at a good level. He has that extended contract where we know he can come back, but do we need him for the Champions League quota? And this is one of the things. Welsh, he is in the team because we need him for that quota and that quota only. Now, we move into the midfield area. We're finally away from the massive amount of defenders we have. And we're going to talk about one player who is out of contract at the end of this season. You all know who I'm talking about. And there's one thing, he's not got the green edition. He's definitely not got the green edition. I'm going to keep doing this just to see if if Red Bull will sponsor us. That'd be an absolute laugh. Cheers for that, the Heat of Lisbon. Yeah, I thought it was about time that I upgraded, and it costs money to run this YouTube stuff. It costs money to run this. And anyway, player that's out of contract in the summer, David Turnbull. Should we sell him as soon as possible? Well, in the next window, that's the only chance that we do have. Should we sell him? Should we bench him? For me, it's a sell all day long. David Turnbull needs sold. He needs sold. I mean, he just shot him. He's not going to get a new contract. He doesn't want to sign a new contract. So for me, the writing is on the wall. There is absolutely no point in keeping him here. He might be a nice guy and everything, but we need to think of the club. The club will always be here after players. And David Turnbull is one player that, for me, needs sold. Now, next up in the midfield position is another player that was brought in the summer, and I don't think this was a player that I think it was probably a player that Ange Postecoglou brought in. To be honest, he is a younger player, he's a prospect player, but Big Odin the warrior. Well, he's not that much of a warrior, but should we bench him or sell him? I think he needs benched. We need to keep him. We've got him on a long-term contract. He's not really had enough time, so Odin, I would say bench him for now. Now, this is one that's going to get everyone commenting. It's a player that was signed under Ange Postecoglou. He's a midfield player. And in his prime, Celtic wanted to sign him a long, long time ago. A very, 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 very long time ago. James McCarthy. Tell me in one word what you think of James McCarthy in the comment section. Now, if James McCarthy's watching this, no offence, mate. No offence. And nothing, don't really mean to offend you, but your time's up. Tell me in one word I said, sell McCarthy. Sell, waste of wages. On scale for oh God, please. He's a thief. Says who really scares. Like James, if you're watching this, I apologise. But well, no, don't really. You've not done anything for 3 years. It's going to be nearly 4 years anyway. McCarthy out. Let's get on to the next one. It feels like a game show host tonight. The next one in midfield is another that was brought in by Ange Postecoglou from Japan, or was it South Korea? I don't know. I can't remember. Anyway, Kwon. Come on. Sell him. Let's move on. Just sell him. Let's. I don't think we need as many copies. Yeah, we're not at Rio yet. Calm down, James. Calm down. I was on about Kwon. I don't even think he's from Japan. Where is he from? Who cares? Right, Kwon is gone. Now, next up is a player that, by all accounts, had a big pedigree, and we decided to take him on loan with an option to buy. A bit like Jota. He did come from the Benfica young team. But for me, Paulo Bernardo, as much as I wanted Paulo Bernardo to be a fantastic player, for me, I don't think he'll be here once his loan is up. As much as I wanted Paulo Bernardo to have that European grit about him, that European pedigree that we needed, I think Paulo Bernardo is just not keeping me excited enough. I would keep him just now, keep him, but I'm loving this stuff actually. Do you get that back home? The green edition Red Bull. Unscapable says he'd rather have Paolo Nutini than Paulo Bernardo. Right, we'll move on to the next one. As a player, there is absolutely no chance of Celtic selling him at the next window. There's absolutely no chance of Celtic selling him at the next window after that, the summer window. And it's a player that was Celtic turned down a bid for last summer. It turned down a bid for 11 million for Matt O'Reilly. Matt O'Reilly is one that you keep all day long. Matt O'Reilly is one player that needs a little bit of experience beside him. He needs someone a bit better than Rio Hatate. He needs someone that's stronger than Callum McGregor beside him. But he does. It's a player that we're going to keep. We need to keep. We need to build the team round players like him. He is only 22-year-old. He is going to progress as a player. Matt O'Reilly will be a £30 million player one day. Mark my words for it. In fact, in his career, I bet that Matt O'Reilly goes for 60, 70, 80 million in his career. Not from Celtic. He'll probably get sold to a club down south, and then they'll sell him. It's always the way it happens. Anyway, we move on. Matt O'Reilly, we keep him. Rio Hatate. Rio Hatate is out injured just now. Rio Hatate will not be back until after the winter break. So we can't really pass judgment. Well, we can pass judgment on Rio Hatate. And has Rio Hatate done it enough for you? He does it again in the big games, but sometimes this season, his passing at the beginning of the season was woeful. Rio Hatate is the type of player that can play along beside Matt O'Reilly, and he will get better. He will get better and he will improve, which means we need to bring in a midfield player that is of a higher quality, that is up there to make these players get to the top of their game and play at the highest level. So for me, it's Rio Hatate as a keep. Callum McGregor, next one up. Keep him all day long. Keep your captain. He knows what it's like to. He knows what he's like. Me and you. He loves the Celtic too. He knows what it is all about. He's been with Celtic since he was 8-year-old. He's come up through the ranks. He loves it. Look, he might not be a Scott Brown type player, but he's still got years to go yet. Scott Brown was the same age as when Brendan Rodgers came in the first time. And everyone said that then Scott Brown was done and dusted as a player. His legs had gone. Cal Mack, for me, has got years left in him, and he needs better players around him. He's one player that elevates when he plays with good players. You know, when he's on the pitch with good players, and we've seen it over the years, Cal Mack produces week in, week out. So for me, Cal Mack is a keeper. He's not a keeper, but he's a player that can still do it. Now, next up is a winger. He's a winger that has people divided, and he's a winger that I'll still back to this day, and he's a winger that I'll back until he retires, and he's a winger that's going to be a one-club man, and that's James Forrest. For me, James Forrest isn't getting enough game time, and it's absolutely terrible when you think about it that we're having to rely on James Forrest 15 years after he first came through the youth system 15 years ago. It's fucking a long time ago. 15 seasons at Celtic. We need to keep James Forrest just for the quota for European football. just for the quota of European football, we do need to keep James Forrest. Pass back Forrest. Scooby, I'm going to say, right, when you look at the amount of goals James Forrest has scored, where has he scored them from? He has went down the wing, comes into the front of the box and scored more goals coming off the wing than anyone in the last 10 to 15 years. Anyone. He's been there, he's done it. He's seen all these players come and go, right? All these great pretenders that go on to bigger riches and more money and whatever. He's still there and he's still committed to Celtic. He's still committed to Celtic, and that is why we need to keep players like that. Because when you get a team of journeymen, when you get a team of journeymen in at Celtic, look what happened across the roads, right? Look what happened across the roads. When you get players that are just journeymen, you never win anything. You know, they got lucky one season. James Forrest's goal record the last 3 years is poor. That's a fact. Michael, it's poor because he's not been getting played. You cannot take that into consideration. It's poor because he's coming off the bench. Look at James Forrest's careers since Ange Postecoglou came. You look at James Forrest's career before Ange Postecoglou was here. Ange Postecoglou had his little favourite team, his little favourite players. Ange Postecoglou is gone. His players are being shown up for what they are. Right? The players that Ange Postecoglou brought in are not playing. Now, are we going to blame Brendan? Well, some people. Anyway, people in the Celtic room, you need Celtic people in the dressing room, says SL7. We do. We need people that know what it means to be a Celtic fan. And don't say bring Kieran Tierney back, because Kieran Tierney is an injury liability. Anyway, let's move on to the next player. As a player that I think one day will get his dream move, as a player that we brought in for just over 3 million. And just to think we could have got this player for around about £250,000 about a season and a half ago, two seasons ago. But he is a bit of a prospect. He does have something about him. Lewis Palmer. Lewis Palmer. He has scored some good goals. Lewis Palmer is a player that is adjusting to Scottish football. Lewis Palmer is a player that was quite wanted at the weekend. But he was getting double marked. When you watch the game, they were going, he was getting double marked. So for me, Lewis Palmer's a keep. Lewis Palmer's a keep. Definitely a keep. Now, next up is a player that hasn't reached the heights of the last couple of seasons. And he's a player that everyone loves. Everyone. Even my dog loves Kyogo. Should we keep, sell Kyogo? Keep, sell, or bench Kyogo? I think Kyogo is still playing with a shoulder injury. I would definitely keep him. Keep off the keep off the drink pass. Forrest can't run it and tackle. It's not drink. It's the green edition Red Bull. It's the green edition Red Bull. Let's go. Cool. So I will say it again. The green edition Red Bull. Let's see if we could rank for green edition Red Bull and see if we can get Red Bull to sponsor the channel. Anyway, keep Kyogo. Keep him. Sell. Sell. Graham Hardy says sell. Interesting. Keep Kyogo. It must be a fun. Definitely keep Kyogo. We need to keep Kyogo. He needs to be playing with. He's another player that excels with better players around him. Now, the next one up is a player that, if you listen to the press and you listen to the media, and if you listen to certain Celtic fans, this player should walk out of Celtic tomorrow. And I don't think he will. He's been given a new contract by the manager. And then it's the one and only Liel Abada. And I think we should keep Liel Abada all day long. I think Liel Abada, when he's on his game, is fantastic. The pace he's got. It's the pace of Liel Abada that we've been missing this season. Whether we like it or not, we need to keep Abada. And when he's fit, get him back in the team. It's as simple as that. So that's the next one up on the team is Liel Abada. We keep him. Now, the next one is another Ange Postecoglou. No, it's not. Well, it kind of is an Ange Postecoglou signing. Was it this year that he came in? I can't remember now. Anyway, he is from the Far East. and it's Yang. Should we sell him, or should we keep him, or should we bench him? Personally, I think that Yang has a bit of quality about him, but I don't think that he's cut out for European football. I don't think that Yang personally is cut out for European football, and this is where we're going to. This is where we need to think about is on a European sense. There's no use thinking about this on a sense of Scottish football. Um, let's see what you're saying in the comments. Sell Yang, bench Yang, says Stuart. Bench Yang, bounce him. Yang, keep him, improve him till next season. Yeah, let's keep him till next season. Someone who's 71 years young, been watching Celtic since 1958. The outcry on social media by some Celtic fans when we lose games. Michael, I've said it before on this channel, and I always lose subscribers because of it. And I think I've supported Celtic since the 70s, since I was a kid. And when we see the journey that Celtic have went through, specifically in the last 20 years, you'll agree with me, it's been a fantastic time to be a Celtic fan, Michael. And it's unbelievable that the younger Celtic fans, you've got Celtic fans that are now in their early 20s that have never known the success that the Sev Conans had, and the old Rangers had, and the Rangers that died. And they don't know how hard it was being a Celtic fan during the 1990s and the managers that we had to suffer with great abundance. But they also don't know the the heartache of watching Celtic in in Europe and getting put out early rounds. Anyway, the 90s were a complete nightmare. So is it a case that some of the fans and the modern day fans, is it they feel um, entitlement? Is it a feeling of entitlement? That's all I'm going to say. We'll move on because we'll probably lose about another 20 subscribers just at that. Anyway, who cares? Subscribers don't actually matter. It's just how many views you get. Anyway, Yang, we should sell him. Next up is a player that plays up front. When he played against Hibs, he was fantastic and he scored 2 goals. And then at the weekend, he was kind of caught wanting. And it's your big man O. Now, there is a player in there somewhere, but again, I think he is the type of player that would benefit from playing two up front. And I think Kyogo would also benefit from playing two up front. Are those the two strikers that we should go with? Well, they're the only two that we've got. So should you bench O? Should we sell him? You're going to keep him. You're going to keep him. You're not going to sell him. SL17 says, seen Celtic in the 70s, 80s, 90s, 2000s. Yep. Young supporters feel entitled, yeah, to do that. Sell O. Sell O. Keep. I think we should keep O. There is a player in there, and I think he is the type of player that he won't throw his dummy out when he's playing second fiddle. He's only a young player, remember. He is only a young player. He's only 21-year-old or something, isn't he? So I would keep him and see how he progresses over the next season or so. Next up is we're down to just a few left in the team. We're going to go back out to the wingers, and there's not many wingers left. There's wingers. There's a winger that came in from Australia, and I'm going to be honest. From oh, that's a new one. It's just popped up with a live viewer count. That's new. That's interesting. Anyway, I've no idea how it's done that. Marco Tillo. Marco Tillo. Marco Tillo. We need to keep him. I don't think we've seen enough of Marco Tillo. When we did see him coming on, I think Tillo is a player that had a good quick change of feet, which could cause problems. And I think he's a player that I want to see more of. So personally, I would keep Marco Tillo. I wouldn't bench him. We need to get him on the pitch and we need to give him some game time. We need to get him game time. If he's not going to get game time, put him out on loan to get him to a standard where he can play for Celtic. Next up, I'm going to go back to Japan. There is only 2 players left in the team from Japan. And this one is a player that at the beginning of the season was Mr. Duracell. Mr. Duracell. Mr. Duracell, it is the one and only Dyson Maeda. We need to keep the Baldies. Big up the Baldies. There's not enough Baldies in the team anymore after our little Australian friend left. And it's I'm all for. We need to keep anyone that takes a blade and shaves their head on a daily basis is right up my street, and we need to keep them because I know what that takes, and I know the commitment that takes on a daily basis. Um, I would keep him. I'll keep Maida all day long. Maida is sorely, sorely missing from the team. He's a player that he doesn't have the best final pass. He does get played out of position. As far as we are concerned, we didn't know that he was getting played out of position, but Ange Postecoglou played him out of position. He plays through the middle where Kyogo plays. Would he be a better player playing through the middle? Well, let's bring in another winger and find out. Maybe Dyson Maida is the type of player that would be better going in the midfield beside Matt O'Reilly, beside Hatate, beside um, Callum McGregor. Anyway, he's been missed badly. He has been missed badly. My positivity has gone out the window so far. Punt the full team. Like it says, punt the full team. Calm down, Lanky. Calm down. Right. Next one up. We spoke about him at the beginning of the video. He is one of the wingers that we have left in the team. And tell me in one word what you think about Mikey Johnston. Mikey Johnson. Mikey Johnson. Say it one more time, Mikey Johnson. Has everyone went away? Has everyone just there we go. There, that's it. One word. That's it. I just want one word to explain Mikey Johnson. There's Kaiser in the house. Kaiser, you'll love this. The green edition. The green edition for Red Bull. I'm going to keep on saying green edition Red Bull. Hopefully, Red Bull will pick it up and sponsor the videos. That would be brilliant. I need to pay for this new camera somehow. Right, so there's a lot of nice comments about Mikey Johnson. There is, there is only two players left, and one of them spat his dummy out at the beginning of the season, and he now plays for Stoke. Said Haksabanovic. Said Haksabanovic. I would sell him to Stoke and let his career sell said Haksabanovic and let him rot out the rest of his career down at Stoke. Mikey Johnson's a poor man's Aidan McGeady. Pat Maguire, you have hit the nail on the head. When Brendan Rodgers came out and said that um, Mikey Johnson is the best player to come out of the academy, Aidan McGeady, Callum McGregor, Kieran Tierney, Jamesy Forrest must have all been sitting going, "Oh, just, just take my shot, just take it. Game's up, game's a bogey." Anyway, Haksabanovic, sell all day long, get as much money as possible for him. I don't think we'll get that much money for him because he is down at Stoke, and if they want him, they can have him. Now, last up is a player. Now, this is a strange one because this player, when he came to Celtic from Japan, was made out to be the best player that was coming from Japan. Unfortunately, he got injured, and he he went back to Japan to not only play and be a success, but to be the best player in the league. Ideguchi. Ideguchi. Tell me what you think about Ideguchi. Should we sell Ideguchi or give him a chance? Should we sell Ideguchi or give him a chance? Let's face it, he went back to Japan and he was player of the season. Get rid of Ideguchi, sell him, punt. Needs to be sold. I think he will be sold. Call me Gucci. Call me Gucci. Ideguchi. It's a bit like you ken it, I ken it, Patsy kens it. It's one of them, isn't it? We need to shift about 12 players. Well, if you just watched the whole of this video, and thank you to everyone that's keep watching, don't worry, we're not over yet. It's been a fantastic good one. Who's Ida Gucci? So, Lanky says, it's not a Gucci, it's Ida Gucci. He's got to be worth a go, says Martin. You can't be the best player in Japan. You can't get player of the season and be a bad player. Anyway, I can it, you can it, Patsy kens it. Anyway, let's move on. That is the players, that's the team. Um, that's me went through pretty much the whole team, and it's a massive team that we've got. And there's quite a lot of players in that team that I would sell or get rid of. And I think Brendan Rodgers realises that also. Um, Getting that Phillips back, yeah, to making TVs. It's going to be an interesting time, the transfer window. And I did say that I would do this video around about the halfway mark because a lot of players, I'm sure Lanky was one of them, that asked me about what I thought about players that were in the team and that we hadn't got rid of. Um, and I did say that we would wait till nearer Christmas until I was going to do it during the winter break. But after that game, um, and everyone player of the year just nominated me. Ah, well, either way, he was nominated. He was up there. He was one of the best players, and to be even nominated, you have to be one of the best players in the league. So yeah, I was just take my shirt. I just come here, just come on in my seat. Anyway, Porky, it's unreal. Lanky said 2 or 3 months ago about players don't want to be here. I don't think it's players that don't want to be here. Um, Bluebells, welcome and here's Bluebells, and he has just subscribed to the One Celtic Fans View. He's had to wait 5 minutes before he could comment. He did have to wait 5 minutes before he could comment. So thank you for subscribing to the channel, and you're now gone, and you won't be able to comment again. And guess what? Okay, so the green machine is in the house. So anyway. Haha, Bluebells is gone. And I just think he subscribed for the whole 5 minutes and he's been sitting there. Even Red Bull's green. Even Red Bull's green, mate. Now way back under your stone. Anyway, just imagine subscribing to a channel, having to wait 5 minutes to then get banned from the channel for life. Anyway, love it. Bluebells and Clementine. Right, there's plenty of oranges out in my garden if you want them. Anyway, let's move on. Let's see what Celtic news. So that's the 3 players. I spoke about the 3 players at the beginning of the video. The 3 players that I thought Celtic need to drop straight away. First one up, I think, for definite, needs to be the one and only Mikey Johnson. For me, Mikey Johnson is not a fast enough winger. He's not good enough for all the talent that Brendan Rodgers must see in training. The fact is, Brendan Rodgers gave him his debut back in 2017. 2017. And he's 24-year-old. I'm sorry, Mikey, but you need to give players like Marco Tillo and that a chance. Mikey Johnson, your time is up. Nat Phillips was the second player I said needs to be dropped straight away for Celtic to get back to winning ways, and that was the one and only Nat Phillips. 2 games in a row, Nat Phillips has cost us. He's cost us. Nat Phillips has basically cost us 5 points. Near enough. Well, even though we beat Hibs. But anyway, Greg Taylor's another one. Greg Taylor is just, he needs a break. For all the good that Greg Taylor has done in the past, he just doesn't seem to be doing it just now. Now, a player that everyone was talking about in the summer has been speaking about is injuries. And after another devastating injury setback for Real Sociedad, Kieran Tierney has been sidelined. He's missed some vital games here in Spain, and Kieran Tierney has said he remains motivated, but he wants to work hard on a bid to come back even stronger, which he feels he has done this time. He said that he's buzzing to be back in training. He was really devastated this time. He said injuries are never easy to accept, but when you have had just joined the club in Spain, it's that extra little bit of difficult. For the first day or two, I was finding it hard to accept I would be out for a period of time. But once you accept it, you get over it, said Kieran Tierney. Everyone at the club is keeping him positive. And you get that feeling as a player. I've never had a pulled muscle before. I think Kieran Tierney will stay in Spain. I think he's a player that they want to keep. And I don't think that he's the type of player that we need back at Celtic, unfortunately. And I know we keep saying about And I'm only saying this because he's left and he's went away, and I don't think coming back is necessarily the greatest thing to do. When he's went out, Kieran Tierney's had too many injuries for me, and I think bringing him back. I mean, if he was going to make it in the English Premiership, everyone thought that Arsenal would maybe sell him to a Chelsea, a Man United, Man City, something like that. But Kieran Tierney, James says that he'll retire because he's retired before he's 30. Phillips or his, yeah, Michael Ross says Phillips for his age has played very few games. Michael, this is one of the things when we brought him in, he had one good season with Liverpool 2 seasons ago when they had a lot of injuries. And then, Lanky, I'll catch you later. I'll catch you another time, Lanky. I hope everyone's cool with you. Um, he is a player that Nat Phillips. I don't think so. Anyway, let's see if there is any Celtic news kicking about now. Neil Lennon has been talking about player that Celtic could really do with as far as he's concerned. Movovsky from Aberdeen has been given the Neil Lennon approval. Lennon reckons that there's no doubt that Bojan Movovsky could add quality to the Celtic squad. The 24-year-old has been linked with a potential move to Celtic. The Macedonian hitman has hit 12 goals this season and add to the 19 last season. Now, the only worry I've got about him is the fact that he can maybe do it in Scotland, and he didn't. When you look back his record, although however prolific he's been up in Aberdeen, he's not done it his whole career. Is he finding it easier to score goals in Scotland? I don't know. I don't know. Anyway, that's just a little bit of news that is kicking around. Let me see if there's any other Celtic news kicking about this evening. To Celtic here, Pat Bonner, and everyone's just criticising the team. So I'm not going to go in and read articles out there that are just criticising the team because I think we've done that enough tonight. We haven't criticised the team, but what we have done tonight is we've spoke about players in the squad and whether they're good enough for Celtic. And let's not forget, all these players were brought in by a previous manager. The previous manager had one thing and one thing to do, and that was to win the league back the first season. And then he went on to win the treble. Would have Ange Postecoglou been in a better position this season at Celtic? Personally, I don't think so, because when you look at the injuries that we had at the start of the season, and when you look at the players that came in this summer, now remember the majority of the players that came this summer were Ange Postecoglou signings. So for me, I don't think Ange would have us playing much better. I think teams were starting to catch on to the way that Ange Postecoglou wanted us playing. Now, one thing that we've spoke about over the last couple of weeks is teams sitting back and how we don't like it. How they don't like it, and smell the glove. We're going to finish off the last 10 minutes talking about that exact man. And geez, I need vodka in this for that one. In fact, we'll get onto him just now. Baz, there's a fight in the team coming from. We can't have 3 games within 10. Yeah. 2 years ago, we brought in a manager, nearly 3 years ago now. Well, 2.5 seasons ago, we brought in a manager, Ange Postecoglou, and he was given assurances by the owner. He had a brand new CEO working with him. Everything was looking bright and rosy. It looked like we turned a corner as far as Celtic were concerned. Out had gone Peter Lawwell, and everything was rosy. We spent 30 million in the transfer market the first season. We went and spent money in the January transfer window to make sure that Ange Postecoglou got the players he wanted. He then went on to buy in some more players the next summer, the names of Jota and Carmen Carter-Vickers on permanent deals. And then comes this January past, almost a year ago now, walks back in the door. And you're not telling me it's through coincidence, but in walks back through the door is Peter Lawwell. Peter Lawwell. And Peter Lawwell's been at the club in various capacities ever since he was a junior accountant. He was first brought in, believe it or not, by the old regime, the Whites and the Kellys. Give him his first job at Celtic at one point. He's a guy that I do believe he is a Celtic supporter, but his business sense and his ego is sometimes, I think, getting in front of him. Now, it's no surprise to me that when Brendan walked back in the door and he was given assurances by our owner, um, when Peter Lawwell walks back in the door, ambition walks straight back out. And I'm sorry to say that, and I'm sorry if some Celtic fans think that that's maybe harsh. From a business point of view, from a business point of view, I think he's done it. He's had his time. He's done as good as what he could do. But for me, Peter Lawwell seems to be an issue in the background for Celtic, and I think when you look, I mean, he maybe if you look at the way that the signings have went over the last summer, we went for spending good money on players to go back down to prospects. We only spent good money on two players. Anyway, let's move on. Enough of the negativity. Let's get back to some of the comments because we haven't had a lot of the comments this evening. So for the final 9 minutes of the John Shirley, Baz, you're rambling. John Shirley, you talk some nonsense on this channel sometimes. Anyway, Stuart Ramsey says, I'd kill for a player like Bruni. A player like Bruni wasn't the player he was when he first came to Celtic, you need to remember. When Gordon Strachan brought him to Celtic, he was a bit of a rough diamond. He was a player that would run and run and run himself into the ground, and he turned into the player that he was created at Celtic. He was born at Hibs, and he was made at Celtic. We'll say that. Pat Maguire. Fast forward to 2034. Celtic manager is Jose Mourinho. Jesus. And he expects big things from Mikey Johnston. Oh man. Anyway, the green edition Red Bull is fantastic. Take Bruni in place of Cool. I don't think Bruni. There was a bit of news kicking about Bruni. Let me just see if I could find it. Let me just see. Where is it? I think Bruni's in line for another job, and it's not at Celtic. Uh, Scott Brown, it's only one game. Scott Brown warns critics do not write Celtic off. Scott Brown warns critics. No, I can't see it. He was lined up. He was mentioned with a job earlier today, and I can't find the story now. Nah, I'll find it for tomorrow morning's video. Like Chop Pork Express. I'd rather Damien Duff for Brun. Is far better experience than the Bruni. Oh boy says he's got his views about Lawwell, as quite a few people do. Hugh says, but I don't know if Willie Miller is at it, but he says Mozowski doesn't have 90 minutes in him. If he's not got 90 minutes in him, why are they trying to get 10 million for him? Excuse me, I'm hungry. But anyway, let's move on. Green Machine says Lawwell thought he was Celtic and picked a team with his transfers in and out. Yes, 100%. 100%. Smell the glove. It's coming in with a cracker. The year is 2034. Celtic hope for to be better in Europe. Oh, jeez. Lowell's arrogance. It's a right dig at Lowell now, isn't it? And in the comment section, Lowell's arrogance is going to end up hurting the club. I don't think it'll end up hurting the club, but what I think it will do is it'll give them a little bit of a chance. But like Scott Brown says, do not write off Celtic. We've been here before. Um, we've been over the course many, many times. There's players in this team, and when it comes down to it, I'm going to say this. I'm going to finish the video off with this. When it comes down to it, when the team goes away for its winter break, the team always comes back stronger. Always. We always come back stronger after the winter break and we go on a run. I did say a couple of weeks ago at the beginning of December, I said we always drop points in December. I did say that. And if you look back at the stats, you'll see it. We always drop points in December. Hopefully now, taking away the Champions League game on Wednesday, hopefully now that'll be the kick up the back end that this team needs. And they know that they've got so many games before they get a break. Let's just hope that Brendan finds it. They find a. What's this? Sorry, I'm just saying. Let's just hope that Brendan can find a team and a formation out of these players to make them better. Because there's obviously players that know they're not good enough for Celtic. They know they're not good enough for the level that is required from a Celtic player, which is difficult. I think that we brought in far too many players last transfer window, but we always do. We always do. We've done it before. The only season that we didn't come back stronger was the ill-fated one during 2020, going into 2021. The ill-fated COVID year. It's the only season. This isn't the same as that. It's not the same as that at all. So let's get some positivity back. We lost one game. And I checked this morning, we are still top of the table. We're top of the league, looking down on the Rangers. We're not even drinking the green edition Red Bull. Hopefully to be sponsored by Red Bull. Anyway, one more chance, buddy. To Mikey Mobber on top at the start of next year, he needs to go. He needs to go. Brendan Rodgers? Brendan Rodgers will not go. Brendan Rodgers will be here for the 3 years. Brendan Rodgers will, I think, have big arguments with Peter Lawwell about the money that the club needs to spend. The club does not need to be sitting on £100 million in the bank. Anyway, Peter Murphy, good evening. We've been on for 57 minutes. Hopefully, Brendan gets money to buy his own players this winter and not those recognised by the club. That is the final comment. So on that note, it's been a fantastic video. It was really good going through the whole squad. Thank you to everyone that commented. It's been some amount of the Green Edition Red Bull, the drink of champions. Yeah, we'll do it again. Let's hope the Red Bull pick up. We've been saying it as many, many times as we can. Thank you for everyone that's watched this video. Sitting at 162 or just about at 200 tonight at one point, which would have been fantastic to hit. I will be back tomorrow morning with your Celtic news. I doubt Rodgers will be here for 3 years. He will, Michael. He will. He won't walk. Celtic will have to pay him off or sack him, and I can't see them doing that. So on that note, have a fantastic evening, Celtic fans all around the world.